Good morning, Nachamo Rabboisai. That's better. Lili Nishmasimi Mirosi Ruswas Mordechai. It's Chos Menachem Mendel Ben Simcha. Happy Hebrew birthday to Ori. I think that's how you pronounce it. Lili Nishmasimi Mirosi Miriam Bas Gittel. Oleh Shalom on her third yard side. Beis Tevis. Her Neshama should have an Aliyah. She was in Or. Chanukah Licht, to all those around her, and her memory remains an Or to her family, Zev Polanski, Woodmere, New York, formerly from and very much missing RBS, Sun Gardens, new to, and a big fan of the Chabura. You guys know who he is? Where's Lauren Spiegelman and these guys? Shkoyach. Sponsored by Arleib Kozowski in memory of my father, Yitzchok Ben Zev. Yitzchok Ben Zev Mendel's 52nd yard site. The Shama should have an aliyah. And by Mendel Mitz, this came in right as I was leaving. He's from Buenos Aires, Argentina, in honor of the 28th yard site of his grandmother, Audrey Mitz. Lilish was Chaya Bas Reb Meir Yankov Olavas Shalom. He wrote a whole email, but I didn't have time to print it out. State in the email says that his grandmother was 63 years old when she was nifter. And what does he say? Oh, he misses, you hear this? Morty, he says that, how you doing up there? He says that you should leave on the YouTube a little bit. That's what we were doing. We're leaving on the YouTube at the end so that the guys could hear the shmooze, the Zoom shmooze on YouTube. We used to. The Zoom, yeah, I would put the screen of YouTube on the end. I don't know, you never saw the end, but that's how it is. Like the last few minutes of, after Shir. Yeah, I don't know, I put the camera on it. I don't know how you're going to do it here. He says he misses it. We got to figure it out. This is from John Pickle. That's the name of his email. His real name is Yossi from Borough Park. I really enjoy Shurim, the visuals and humor and whatnot. It's the best Geshmak Shir for Daf Yomi and Sis Pesachim. I listen to you every day. However, the last 2 days I was really upset. Since on Torah Anytime, the recording only started with sponsors and I missed the Good Morning Rabboisai. Hatzlachan, thanks for the wonderful shir, Yossi. This is from Avram Meir Farkovich. He says, thanks for the shout out to Menashe. And he says, this is a happy Hanukkah, enjoy your present. I have 2 more guys. First, Menachem Barkani from Far Rockaway, New York, a 19-year-old friend of mine who started doing the 8-minute daf in the beginning of Pesachim. And Jay Nathanson from Woodmere, New York, who I saw in Shul on Sunday. And Kitzer, he pulled a Yeshua on him. You hear Yeshua? So he's jumped in smack in the middle of Masechta, MDY style. Happy Hanukkah, enjoy your present. Yishkoyach for the present. From Reb Kalman from the 5 Towns. Sponsored announced by Kalman of 5 Towns. Lili Nishmas Mendel. So happy birthday to my son, Ori. Pronounced, I don't know, he just rewrote it in a way I can't even read it. Ori, the tzaddik. So proud of him that he finished the first perek and hasn't missed the Yomi yet. We used to celebrate the other birthday, but after what you said a few weeks back, moving forward, we'll always celebrate Hebrew birthdays for this family. Mamish, she's oila. Went from Ken to Kalman. It's unbelievable. Psh. One more thing, if you don't mind. What's going on with the morning Rabboisai? You haven't said it all week. Even my son, Kitzer, we're tweaking it. It's a work in progress, says Morty Seltzer. During the morning spiel, it truly brings a smile to my face, that whole morning spiel. I know many others feel the same. Kalman. Oh, and one more. We have time for this one. This is from Rabbi Yisrael Goldstein from Borough Park. L'chvayid Moiri Rabbi, I want to thank you and applaud you for the divrei chizuk you gave us yesterday when you explained the concept of trading one's time, life, for money. I've heard from numerous Baal Darshan and many speeches on Bittul Zman, but nothing touched my heart as much as what you said yesterday. I've come to realize that you're not only a Daf Yomi Magid, but you also give hadrach in the day-to-day life. Thank you very much for your true and daily Talmud. I just try to point out the things that I think are very interesting in the daf. That's it. Not a darshan, not anything. So Zok Tehillim Gemara, Daf Chof Vov. Shkoch Rav Dambi. Every day. Hakar Satoiv. So we're in the middle of a sugya of efshar, miskaven, all these wonderful things. How does this relate to our day-to-day? You hear Gershon? Take a look at this. Because the sound came out of here instead of there. At home, we never had these issues. There's no sound. There's nothing coming out. Oh yeah, once in a while, there's sound coming from a certain individual. I'm not going to mention his name. You guys, not me. I said I had no issue. All right. Efshar, lo efshar. Here's MDY. Here's the guy. He needs to get to here. There's a reach, a smell that he might take in if he goes this way. So we said it depends. If it's efshar, he has another way to go. It's equally the same, and he chooses this one, it makes a problem. If it's somewhat inconvenient, that's not considered efshar. So we had the first lashon yesterday. This is the first lashon. We're not going to get into it so much. We're going to concentrate on this lashon right over here. So again, if a person has another route that he could take, equally is comfortable, and he has kavana, he wants to smell the reach, 100% asur, the reverse. He doesn't have an option, he doesn't want to smell it, 100% mutter. And then we said, what happens if he doesn't have a route? Loy efshar, he doesn't have another route, but he has good kavana to smell that avodah zara. That we have a machlokes Abaya and Rava. According to Rava, it's asur. According to Abaya, it's mutter. Who do we paskin like? Halachically, we paskin like Rava. Always. Paskin like Rava. So, if you have another option, I'm sorry, you don't have another option. You don't have another option and you have kavana to have anah from that reach, according to Rav, it's asur. Now, if you have another option, but you're not mechaven at all, that's a machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, the famous davar enim eskaven, dragging a bench. Now, who do we paskin in this case? Between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, we paskin like Rabbi Shimon that enim eskaven is mutter. Now, for 10,000 points, here's an opportunity for Noam to redeem himself. Last time he won $1,000, a true $1,000. I didn't pay him yet, but that's a different story. Bezer Hashem, it's going on. He knows what I'm talking about. It's going to come together with something else. So, no, not that I'm going to take off and pretend that's it. It's going to be added. Here's the shaila. How does this relate to a practical day-to-day, or how could it relate, perhaps, and you can answer, Livy, on a day-to-day practical thing. So I'll give you a hint. Why would it be usher for my son-in-law, Mayor Jacobs, to come to my house this Shabbos? Why would it be usher? No? Anybody? Based on this Gemara, it should be usher for him, maybe. Mayor Jacobs never speaks Lashon Hara, ever. So this is Shiloh. Are you permitted to go to a place where they, not in my house, we're not going to talk about my house, there's a house that they speak a lot of Lashon Hara there. Are you allowed to go there? Who asked this question and brings this Gemara? The Chavetz Chaim. He brings out Gemara, Pesachim Daf Chavav, Efshar and Loy Efshar, Miskaven and Loy Miskaven. He has the option of staying home and not coming to our house for Shabbos, but on the other hand, he is loy mechaven. He doesn't want to enjoy the lashon hara. He's not mechaven. So over here you have edim mechaven, efshar. He could stay at home, and the halacha would be like Reb Shimon that it's mutter. Mutter for him to come to my house for Shabbos. So I started reading the Chavetz Chaim, got all nervous. But Baruch Hashem, it's mutter. All right. So zok the Gemara like this. Omer Abaye Mino.
You guys, it's low efshar.
It's not a joke. Loy efshar, as we discussed, doesn't mean that there's. It means if it's slightly inconvenient, if his wife can't cook, that's loy efshar. It's not loy efshar; it's impossible. Loy efshar means it's slightly inconvenient. So if he's scared of his shver, that's loy efshar. You're right. At the end of the day, you're right. Okay, fine. You redeem yourself on a good lumdisha knock to what I just said. Omar Abaye. So how do I know in a case that it's lo efshar? There's no other option. It's inconvenient. But I have kavana that I hold it's mutter. I have kavana to smell the avodah zarah. Kavana to listen to the lashon hara. Let's say. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai geschmack. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai show Yoshe betzilo shel heichal v'doirish kol hayom kuloi. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, he had so many talmidim they couldn't find a large enough room. So what did he do? He took all the talmidim and went. There's the heichal in the Beis HaMikdash. The heichal right over here. That's inside was the menorah, the shulchan. The heichal was how tall? You remember how tall it was? 100 amot tall, approximately 200 feet tall. So casted a massive shadow, and he stood outside of the Beis HaMikdash, just for visual sake, somewhere next to where the kaisel is today, in that area, outside of the Beis HaMikdash. I mean, the kaisel is a little bit off, but like somewhere around there, and the shadow just cast. So this big giant area. All the talmidim sat there. And he was nehena, he had anah from the Beis HaMikdash. That's me'ilah. I'm using the Beis HaMikdash. For what? So I could give a drush in Torah, so I could teach Torah. Oh, and here you see this idea. It's considered lo yefshar. Why not? I could build a tent. I could hire a company to build a tent. No, but that's inconvenient. So me'ilah, it's lo yefshar. Umechaven. He has 100% kavana to benefit from the shade of the Beis HaMikdash. Ushari, it's mutter. V'rava Omar. So what do you see? So lo yefshar umechaven. He has kavana to use to be over an aveira of me'ilah. Shari, mutter. So great raya tabaya. V'rava Omar shani heichal de letoichoi asui. Says Rava, that's different. Over here, the Heichal, the wall was built to protect the menorah and the Mizbeach HaKtoires, the Shulchan, all the stuff, the Kodesh HaKodashim. It wasn't meant to give shade on the outside of some guy, some person, some Gadol Hadar giving a shear on the outside. Great. But what do you see from here? Lu Yitzuyur, it was, according to Rava, it was for the outside, would be aser. What would we perhaps say? You have Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Gadol Hadar. He has 10,000 talmidim. He wants to give a shir klali. He has nowhere to do it. We'd say, come up with some sort of excuse maybe. No, but say you can't do it. Why? Because it's aser. It's mechaven. But what's going to be with Torah? You know what's going to be with Torah? There's not going to be Torah. Right now, there's not going to be Torah. If that's the only choice. There's a Maisa with a true story. And this is the source from Olam HaYeshivas today. In Volozhin, the Russians came and they said they want to institute that in the yeshiva there should be secular studies. And the Netziv said, absolutely not. So they said, but they're going to close down the yeshiva. So he said, so let them close it down. It's not my problem. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's problem. My problem is to take care of Torah and give it the way it's supposed to be given without the secular studies. And in fact, they closed down the yeshiva. And they say that the Netziv was nifter from that he had such tsar from it, he was nifter. But he refused to compromise on Torah. And then they say that there's such Talmidei Chacham there, they all spread out, and that's how the Olam Yeshivas started. But the point is that we can't compromise it, in business. Let's say in business. The guy says, listen, I'll cheat a little bit, and then I'll give a lot of tzedakah later. That's not how it works. You have to go by the book 100%. A guy came to Reb Brevden, he asked him, a guy asked him for 100% cotton fabric. And he doesn't have 100%, he only has 98, but in fact it's much better than the 100%. And the guy will never know. Could he sell it to him? He said, what are you, crazy? You have to be yashar. You can't play games. You're worried about HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving you parnasa, he'll give it to you in another way. But that, you have to be, so Mela, if this is Torah, imagine us, we want to give a shear, all these Talmidim are standing there, a little bit shade, fadrei something. No, there's not going to be a shear. All right. Zok the Gemara, now I will bring her, yeah.
Does anyone discuss the fact that the tzar has no mamashas? Not like a real.
So we're going to get into a whole sugya about that. A whole sugya in just 2 minutes. Mamashas, no. That's coming up. Sight, smell, sound. Says Rava, again, loy efshar. I don't have another option. But I have kavana. I want to benefit from this isser. We're talking about reach, right? Noam, reach. We're talking about a smell that's coming out of Avodah Zarah that doesn't have mamashas. Just like l'chayra, just like a shade. And Rava says it's also. And we pass like Rava. Amazing. L'chayra, I don't know for a fact, but l'chayra, the Kohen Gadol, once a year when he went to Kodesh HaKadoshim, he noticed that there's a repair necessary. There's a little leak. How do you repair it? You take a guy in a box, you put him in a box, you close him up in the box, and the Kohen Gadol gives you coordinates. He says it's 2 feet to the right, 1 foot to the left, down, go there. As he gets there, then he repairs the hole. Why do you have to do this? So that they shouldn't have a no with their eyes from the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Says the Gemara, it's impossible to do it otherwise. You have to fix the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And he has kavana to benefit from the beauty of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, va'asur. So it's a great raya to Rava. You see that it's asur. Otherwise, let him walk right in there and Shalom Yisrael. Why do you have to put him in a box? You have to go out. You don't have to go out of your way. Putting in a box is lo yefshar. Let him just open up the door with his tools and go and make a fix. Says the Gemara of Tizbra. So Abaye answers. Koil sound. In other words, the beautiful sound of the orchestra in the Beis Hamikdash, the Tehillim in the Beis Hamikdash, Umarel, and the sight of the Beis Hamikdash. To see, to look at the beauty of the golden walls, all these beautiful things in Kodesh HaKadoshim. V'reach, the Ketores, Ein bohem mishum me'ilah. You're not over a issa d'oraisa of me'ilah if you benefit from it. All right. So memela, there's no problem of me'ilah. So they did a little bit of a chumrah. They put him in a box, but it wasn't because of the issa me'ilah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaroi. Hello. Me'ilah also based on Kodesh HaKadoshim. They did a little bit of a chumrah. How do I know that it's lo yefshar in a case of a lo yefshar? I don't have a choice, but I have kavana. It's asur. These things that are not physical. I mean, think about it. If Rabbi Victor Miller was here, he would go on a tangent. These are all things. If you think for a second, just close your eyes and think about it. They're all ruchnius things. Sound, it doesn't have any a sound wave. I mean, now maybe scientists see, I don't know, I have to ask Avi Mandelbaum, but you don't really, eyesight, you could be a bat and not see anything. You could live your entire life with radar and it's fine. You could be a turtle without ears and it's also, you'll survive. Without Akush Baruch Hu made that you put something on in your nose, you smell something, it's unbelievable, on your taste buds. So it says that there's no me'ilah, you're not over the isser of me'ilah, because it doesn't have mamashus, but there is an isser. My love, lo isam ha'imdim b'fnim. So isn't this referring to the kohanim that are inside the Beis Hamikdash, and they hear the music? The lo yefsha v'kol mechaven v'aser. Says the Gemara, we're talking about lo'isen ha'imdim b'chutz. Those guys that are outside, they're considered efshar. They could just walk away. So memela, there's no raya from here. Gufa, Omer B'Shim ben Pazim, B'Shu ben Levi, B'Shum b'Kapara. Koil umare v'reach. Sound, sight, and smell. Ein bohem B'Shum me'ilah. V'reach ein bohem B'Shum me'ilah. What are you telling me that a smell doesn't have me'ilah? V'tanya. So here's the pasuk. It says, "Ish asher yaseh chamoyha." If you try to make ketores like in the Beis Hamikdash, lahariach, to smell it. So there's two things here: yaseh, you're going to make it, and you smell it. Ba v'nichras me'amav. Chorus. You can't duplicate the ketores to smell it. Says the Gemara. If it's l'slamid ba. to learn how to do it properly, or to give it back to the Beis Hamikdash, potter, you don't get kares. Lo riach ba, but if you do what the Torah says, lo riach, chayiv, then you chayiv kares. Now here's another halacha, don't get confused. V'hamariach ba. But if you didn't make the Ketores, you just walk into the Beis Hamikdash and you smell the Ketores of the Beis Hamikdash, potter. Elo shemal. So here you have a situation where you're over a mi'ilah by smelling. Well, you're telling me there's no mi'ilah of smell. Smell doesn't have mamoshes. Over here it says you're over, you're not chayiv kares, potter from kares, but you're over a mi'ilah. How do you pay back?
That's a smell of the Ketores. What are you supposed to do?
No, yeah, of course, but if you have enough from it,
How do you stop it?
Mechaven. You have to be. This is mechaven, not mechaven. The same thing by Avodah Zarah. You walk by there, you don't want to benefit from it. It just goes into your nose. You have enough from it, but you don't want it.
He says if you smell, meaning you do on purpose go and smell.
Yeah. You walk over there, you go.
If you smell it,
Shmektabik. Right. Elo Marav Papa. Koil Umara Ein Baim. I seriously wanted to call up Avi Mandelbaum to discuss this with him. Koil Umara Ein Bohem Mishum Mi'ilah. Lefish Ein Bohem Mamish. So sound and sight, there's no physical thing to it. You can't touch it. So there's no mi'ilah. V'reach la'achas shetalet timrosoi ein boi mishum mi'ilah. Hoyel v'nases mitzvasoi. So the Ketores is different. It's physical. The actual samamanim, the spices are physical, and there's a reaction to the heat, and the reach comes out. But it emanates from a physical thing. So memela, that's considered yesh by mamish. And once the smoke comes up, then the mitzvah is over already. That's it. Hoyel v'nasis mitzvasoi. And I was just thinking, like, reach, I don't know, I wanted to speak to people about it. Reach should be a little different. I don't know, like, you're a doctor. No, it doesn't smell, leave something like, something tangible. Like if a dog you give a dog a sock of a murderer, like even a week later, he could just go in the forest, like as if he's holding onto a cable, they say a bloodhound could go over 100 miles or something, foul smell, no? So it's more tangible, I think. But anyway, that's not what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is saying it comes from a source, that it has, the samamanim make it different. Says the Gemara, she's saying once the mitzvah is over, that's it. There's no isser. What's trumas hadeshin? Every morning, the kohen would go up to the mizbeach, up here, go up the ramp, and grab from yesterday's korbanos, from the ashes, a machta full, a shovel full, bring it down and bring it to this point. Gary, are you able to, let's see if you could zoom in on this. Don't move it around? Oh, that's very difficult. But could you see the square by my finger, by where the arrow is? Okay, I don't know. Anyway, it's called Beis HaDeshen, and they take the deshen and they pour it over there every single morning. And that was one of the nisim, not many, one of the nisim that happened in the Beis HaMikdash, that the deshen would just be absorbed into the marble ground. So nice, just go in there. So Trumas HaDeshen, the Nasis Mitzvasa, it's already over. The carbon is burnt. The Kohen took that deshen and he made the mitzvah of bringing the Trumas HaDeshen down. He placed it on the ground. That's it, mitzvah over. V'yesh ba mishum mi'ilah, and you're over, even though Nasis Mitzvasa. D'chsiv, v'somay yitzal mizbech, you put it by the mizbech, shelo yifazer. You shouldn't kick it around and don't benefit from it. So you see, there is me'ilah afterwards. Says the Gemara, you know why there's me'ilah? Mishum dahavet trumas hadeshem big dikuna shnei ksuvim abayim keachad. So this is a cloud that if the Torah tells you halacha once, obviously the Torah wants you to take that halacha and go with it. Apply it to other places. But if the Torah says the same halacha twice, then the Torah is telling you, let's limit it to these two things. So the Torah says this halacha, that don't benefit from it after that the mitzvah is done by Trumas HaDeshen and by the Kohen Gadol's clothing. Trumas HaDeshen, Hoda Amaron, this halacha that we just said, the mitzvah is over, you still can't benefit from it. After the Kohen Gadol is done, place it down. You have to put it into the gniza. Not that guy in Borough Park with the fake U-Haul truck that takes it and throws it on the garbage. Real gniza. There's a madama that says that it's the same Gadim on Yom Kippur. He wears what a Kohen Hedek will wear during the year. The Kohen Hedek can use it. So what does it mean? Don't use it next year Yom Kippur, but you're allowed to use it. So now we're stuck with one pasuk that tells us that after the mitzvah is done by Trumas Hadeshen, you're over Me'ilah. We don't have two psukim because the pasuk of the Kohen's Begadim is not true according to Reb Daisa. You're allowed to use the Kohen's Begadim. Says the Gemara, Mishum Dahabat Trumas Hadeshen ve'Egla Arufa shneiksuva b'bayim ke'achad. There's another pasuk. Egla Arufa. What's Egla Arufa? Oh, I have a geschmack picture from Krisos. Egla Arufa. What's this? There was a murder that took place between two cities. We don't know which city is closer, where the murder is from. So you bring a calf and you do this. I don't even want to say it. Chop, chop, done. He has to be wearing tchelis. That's a must. Yes, if you're going to do the mitzvah of Egla Arufa, you have to be mekayim all the mitzvahs. So Mela, especially in the time of the Mikdash, time of Egla Arufa, there's tchelis. And there must be what? Oh, Chodesh is there's no term in those days. Oh, he's clean shaven, yeah. He says shagets. Good point. Okay. Shagets, shtickle shagets, whatever. Who's going to do something like this? Fine. Sug the Gemara. So, Egla Arufa, we're going to be discussing Egla Arufa in a second. Very interesting. This Egla is like a paraduma in a lot of halachas. You can't have any work done to it. It has to be pure. That after the Egla Arufa, you can't benefit from it, even though the mitzvah is done. No, really now, if you want to ask a question, you can say, oh, but now there's 3 psukim according to the other mandamar. You also have Big Dikuna and 3 psukim melamdim. Okay, fine. Every time the Gemara says this thing, that there's 2 psukim and a melamdim, the Gemara always asks, that's good according to the mandamar that says a melamdim. What about the mandamar that says melamdim? Says the Gemara, tremi uteksivi. Ksiv v'samay, there's extra vav. Uchsiv ha'arufa, the extra hey, because it says ha'egla, ha'arufa, it should say ha'egla arufa. What's the hey? Okay, so there's an extra miut. Great. Tashma. Hichnisa l'rivka v'dosha. Oh. So we're talking about this egla arufa. So what happened? Here's disha. You have wheat, and you take your cows. Rashi says there's 4 of them. How many do we have here? Only 2. And they go around in a circle over and over until they're able to separate the grain from the chaff. Now, the problem is that there's no, what do they call it today? Chufshat yoledet. How do you say it in English? Maternity leave. There's no maternity leave for this poor cow. Just gave birth yesterday. Back to work she goes. She has a little baby, and this baby needs to nurse. But she's working, so what they do is they tie the baby to the mother. As she's walking around, the baby can nurse. But what happens is that the baby's feet are still separating the wheat from the chaff. And it's creating work for this baby. Now this baby, you want to go ahead and do this to her tomorrow. But you can't do this if she already performed Avaida. So it depends, says the Gemara. If it happened. But if you had in mind that she should do disha for you, she should work, you know what? You get an added benefit. She's going to nurse now, and she's also going to create some valuable work for you, then it's possible for Egla Arufa. Says the Gemara, Ba'am kashan rava. V'hacha deloy efshar. There's no other way. This baby must nurse. So it must go into, you must tie her up together with the mother during the disha. Become a chaven. Okay, so he has bad kavana that he's going to get some work out of it. Uktani psula. Isn't that a kasha on Rava? No, what's the obvious answer to that? Shani hasam d'chsiv asher lo yu'bad ba mikol makom. It says in the Torah you can't do any work with it. So it means even if you have kavanah, you don't have kavanah, you can't do any work. Mikol makom. Yihachi afilu reishanami. So why is it okay if you have zero kavanah? I just tied her to her mother so she should nurse. I had zero intent to have any anah from it. In fact, I don't even want it maybe. So why is that mutter? The Torah says, lo yubad, don't have any work done to it. Says the Gemara, Daf Amud Beis, we just sponsored it by ourselves. This is similar to another case by Para Duma. It says, Asher loy ola, right? A Para Duma can't have a yoke on it. You can't put any burden on it. So what if a bird lands on it? Right? You go in the safari, you see birds on animals all the time. The animals love it. They pick the whatever it is. Ksheira. But if it made it, pasul. What's the difference? My taima. Omar of Papa ichsiv ovad vikarinan ovad. Great, here. So, here's the pasuk. V'lokchu ziknei o'irahi eglas bokor asher lo ubad ba. It says the word ovad, aleph, veis, dalid, and we read it ubad. It should say it there should be a vav here, between the ayin and the beis. But there isn't. So, iksiv ovad, the Korean ovad, adda ovad bayu. Ovad means he worked the animal, great. Iksiv ubad, the Korean ubad, if it would have a vav there, and it happened by itself, ubad means work happened to this animal without your intent, you didn't want it to happen, afilu b'meilanami. Then it would be asur, even without you intending. Hashta, d'chsiv ovad, the Korean and ubad. But now that there's a mix here between ovad and ubad doing the ovad. Ma ovad denichalei, af ubad denichalei. So there's a nafkamina, says the Gemara, whether you have intent or not. That's why. You see, by para aduma, you have to have intent. The owner is always happy when its animal has vlados. So Allah zachar means it's a good thing for the owner. You hear, Levi, I'm about to say a bam kasha here, and a bam teretz, even a bamier teretz in the kasha. So nachamol, if the owner is satisfied with the oil like a zachar, it's good for him. He wants the animal to have children. So that means it ruins the animal. That's avad, that he has intent. If it's a bird that lands on the animal, he couldn't care less, so it's not a big deal. So in our case, by the egla rufa, when he doesn't want the animal to trash to be dash the wheat, then it's okay. But if he wants it, then it's not okay. As Tosfos a bam kasha, which Meshugana wants his animal, his paradumo is worth $2.5 million to get pregnant? It's going to ruin. He's not going to have any money from it. If you have a paradumo, you do not want it to have a zachar. What are you telling me? You want a zachar? It's good for you. It's bad for you in a paradumo. Tosfos says a teretz that takes 3-4 minutes to understand. You're going to understand it, but until you're going to have kashas and tirutzim. Listen to this teretz. Says Tosfos that if you're going to say that it's kosher, so you're going to be happy that there's a zachar, and memela it's possible. It's a chap. I told you you're not going to understand. 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, come back to me. It says Tosfos. So we're talking about a paraduma that's worth $2 million. And every owner in the world wants his animal to get pregnant. So in other words, Allah Zachar, he's very satisfied with it, and Memela, it's considered an oil. But in this case, as Tosfos, since it's worth $2 million and it has a Zachar, it's going to lose all its value, and Memela, he doesn't want it. Okay, so he doesn't want it, so Memela, if Allah Zachar, it becomes kosher. It's going to be okay. And then if it becomes okay, he's going to be happy that there's a Zachar, because he wants his animal to become pregnant. And in that second that he's happy that the animal went on top, then it becomes asur. It doesn't go around. It doesn't keep on going in a circle. It stops right there. Why? Because as long as this person is happy for 1 millisecond, let me ask you something.
Why would he be happy for 1 second?
Because it's mutter.
What do you mean?
You're asking that it should be mutter because if it's usr, it ruins it for him. So male, it's mutter. Okay, so it's mutter. I'm going to make it mutter for you. So then you're happy that the animal made it. So then,
You're never happy.
No.
Not even for half a second.
you are because it's mutter.
But now it's not going to be worth money.
No, it is going to be worth money because it's mutter. Taisa says that it should be that you don't want it, and if you don't want it, it should be mutter. Okay, so I'll make it mutter. But for that second that it's mutter, then you're happy because it's mutter.
Pregnant cow could never be.
It's a beautiful chaf. I told you it's going to take you 3 minutes to understand it. Think about it, and it does not go in a circle because all you need is 1 second that you were happy, even though you realized afterwards that you made a mistake. For being happy, it makes the animal awesome. No. You are happy. Okay, you have a paraduma. Okay, you had a paraduma. You didn't know it's a paraduma. At 9 o'clock, it plowed a field. Comes a guy and you're happy. You're very happy. 9 o'clock, you're happy? Yeah? You're happy. At 9:10, somebody comes to you and tells you, Meshugana, you just plowed a field with a $2 million cow. It's worthless now. He goes, Oi, I didn't have it's a paraduma. Too bad. You were happy at 9 o'clock. You can't retroactively take it away. But what happens over here is, la halacha, you're going to say, you're allowed to have a zachar on it, because if you have a zachar, it ruins it for you, and maybe you're not going to be happy. So at 9 o'clock, you are happy, because it's mutter. So at 9 o'clock, it became aser. Okay, anyways, fine. Ayin Taisis is beautiful. Zok the Gemara, Tashma. I'm telling you. What did I tell you? 3 minutes. Where are we? We're 3 minutes, and we still don't understand it. Okay. We have a raya to Rava. That what? Efshar. It's impossible to do it another way, but he has kavana, a bad kavana, you answer it. Tashma, aveda lo yishtocheno. A guy finds, in our days, you want to show off to your friends, you buy a fancy Lexus and you drive around, you're all cool. In those days, you want to show off to your friend, you buy like a piece of linen in Walmart and you hang it up. It's like, wow, I can't believe that guy got that from Walmart. So if you find a linen in the street, lo yishtocheno. Lo yagabi mitov, lo yagabi magoy litzarkoi. You can't use it. You can't benefit from it. You can't put it on a peg. You can't put it on your bed. Now, why would you do this? Because Rashi says there's ash. In Hebrew, ash. You have those moths that destroy clothing. You want to protect it. But if you're doing it for yourself, you want to sleep on it. No good. But if you're doing it for the actual clothing itself, then it's okay. But what if you have guests, now you're showing off? Even if you're doing it for the benefit of the linen, you cannot do it. Why? Because you're mechaven. You're mechaven bad. You're mechaven to benefit from it, even though it's loyevshan. Says the Gemara, Shani Hasam, the Kalila. The problem is that you're burning it. How are you burning it? Imishum Eino Bisha, Imishum Ganavi. Very makbid on Ein Hara. There's going to be this beautiful linen that you got in Walmart, and the guests are going to look at it and go, wow, I can't believe it, and that's going to destroy the linen. Or the guests are going to say, it's mamsh shame. Nobody's using it. It's let's take it home. It's unbelievable. This guy's a tzaddik. On his own stuff, he has these ganavim in his house. He's not makbid on anything in his house. But that guy, the linen he found, he has to be very careful with. Tashma. Moichrik sus, moichrim kedarkan. You have this peddler walking around with shatnas on his back. It's not a problem. As long as you don't have kavana, you're peddling garments and you're wearing shatnas, but you're not wearing it to protect your body. You're wearing it to sell. So it's okay. But you cannot have kavana b'chamo b'nei achamo to protect you from the sun, b'kshamim b'nei akshamim, and from the rain. V'atznuin, the tzaddikim, what would they do? The extra people that were machmir, mafshilin achareim b'makel. They take a stick, they put it on their shoulder. No, did you find me? You didn't find me? A stick on the shoulder, and all the clothes are behind, so that he's not touching the shatnas. Over here, this is considered efshar. You're not going out of your way. There's two ways of carrying it. Putting it on your body and putting on a stick. Stick is not such a big deal. It is efshar, sharit. So we have a kasha. This is a kasha more on the first. Here we go. Where is it? This one. This isn't the first lashon. Going back to the first lashon. Efshar, yes, I could put on a stick. Mechaven, no. I don't have kavana. And what does Rava say in this case? I have zero kavana, but I have another way of doing it. I have a way out. Rava says asur, and over here it says mutter. Over here it says not a problem. So meila tiyufta de Rava, this lashon aleph is gone, and that's why we stick to lashon beis, and the whole sugya was about the second lashon. All right, brand new sugya. V'lo yasig boitanor v'kirayim. We said in the Mishnah, you cannot heat up a stove, an oven with chametz, right? Says the Gemara, Toner Rabbanon. Tanu shesigoi b'klipei arlo. Arlo, the fruit, the first 3 years, they're asur bahana. The klipos, even the shells, the pits, everything is asur. Oi, bekashin shel klei hakerem, kilei hakerem. Kilei hakerem, as we discussed, is you go and you plant wheat in a vineyard. You plant vegetables in a vineyard. Over here it says a little different. Kashin. Kashin is the shaft. Before we're talking about in Arlo, we're talking about the shell, not the tree, the shell. The tree is mutter. When it comes to kilei hakerem, even the shaft is asur. So what happens if I throw this into an oven? Chodosh yutatz. So the halacha is, since I am finishing off my oven, right? My oven needs to break in. I need to fire it up for the first time. And that's what creates my oven. So I just finished it off with an isser, with kilei hakerem. So memela, what's the halacha? Yutatz. You got to break it, because the entire oven is no good. Yashan, what if it's an older oven? Yutzan. In other words, don't cook with it right now. Wait until it cools off. Afa b'is, what if you baked bread with these klipos, with the peels, with the shells? Rebbe oimer hapas asura, v'chachamim oimrim hapas muteres. Rebbe says the bread is asur. Bishla gabi gecholim. What's the difference? Gecholim are coals. They're done already. They're finished. Divrei hakol muter. So there's some heat left over, but the actual wood is consumed. So Mamela, everybody holds that it's mutter. And Gemara just asked a question about Tanya ben Chodesh ben Yashan Yutzan. It says that a brand new oven, cool it off. It doesn't mention anything about breaking it. You just told me brand new oven that you finish it off. With our law, you have to break. Over here it doesn't say anything about breaking. Just cool it off. Loi kashya. Ha Rebbe v'ha Rabbanan. Rebbe, who holds that if you bake a bread with the peels of arla, you can't use it. So he says you can't use this oven. V'harabbanan, says the Gemara, and now we're going to learn two halachas, two concepts that we never learned before. Brand new concepts. Concept number one, shevach eitzim bepas. Shevach eitzim means that you could literally see the wood, the asur wood in your bread. How did the bread become bread? It was a piece of dough, and now it's a beautiful bread. Why? Because it had got heat from the wood. So it's pashut that there's wood inside this bread. Literally, some of the wood, some of the isser inserted itself in the bread. How else did it become a bread? How else did it bake if not this arlo wood? And now we have a second concept called Zev v'zegorim mishamisle. Zev v'zegorim. There are two causes here that created this isser. Cause number one is the wood, and cause number two is the oven. Wood without the oven wouldn't have any ability really, and the oven without the wood not. So it's two things that created the isser. So Mela, says the Gemara, Rebbe says that the bread is also why? Because there's arla inside of the bread, there's wood inside of the bread. But how could you take that idea and bring it to an oven? An oven, there's two things that go on in an oven. There's the coals and the oven itself. So you're going to ask me, bread also has the oven and the coals, but it's most noticeable with the fuel. Ella, says the Gemara Leikasha, we can really do the sugya tomorrow, but we'll just read it. Ella Leikasha, Ha Rebbe Eliezer Ha Rabbanon. It's Rebbe Eliezer that holds Zev, because Rebbe, we don't pass in Zev Goyim, we pass Zev Goyim is mutter. So it doesn't make sense that Rebbe would hold Zev Goyim is asur. But there is a shita of Rebbe Eliezer, we learned in Avodah Zarah, Zev Goyim is asur. Hey Rebbe Eliezer, which one is it? Ilay me Rebbe Eliezer, the Sa'ar, leaven, this nan. Sa'ar shel chulim v'shel truma shenafel techiisa. You have this Sa'ar, this leaven, that fell into chulin and truma. The Sa'ar is chulin and the Sa'ar is truma. Two parts. One is mutter only to kayin, one is mutter to everybody, and they're truma. And they fell into the dough. And neither one could make the dough rise by itself, but the two of them together, the chulin and the truma came together and made a dough. Whatever you put in last, it doesn't matter what came in last. Each part has to have its own chamitza. Now, what's the ra'ayah? What happened was, when does Rebbe Eliezer say that I'm matter when the chulin part of the yeast, of this leaven, fell into the dough, last is when as soon as it fell in, you ran and you grabbed the truma and you pulled it out. But if you didn't pull out the truma, asur. So what do you see? Very simple. Alma zev zeh goyim asur. Why is it asur? There's truma in the yeast, in the dough. Then chulin fell into the dough. And it's zev zeh. The dough rise because you have a little bit of a chulin, a little bit of truma. It's two things that created the dough. Yet, Rebbe Eliezer says when two things create the dough, it's asur. So that's the Rebbe Eliezer perhaps that we're dealing with. We'll go back a little bit tomorrow. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful, wonderful day. נפשי לאדרים שמלון הבויקר, שמלון הבויקר. לך ישראל אדינוי, כמדעני חסד, והרבה מגדוס. בואי דייס ישראל מכל אדמני, סוף החיים גם ישראל, נצום את זה, ושיבי, רואים די בימים, שמוקים,